First on 5, Baldwin County Sheriff Hoss Mack might not have any opponents in next year's election after a new law regulating who can run for sheriff was signed by Governor Robert Bentley.
As News 5's Pat Peterson reports on the Baldwin County beat, the law requires all sheriff's candidates to have at least 3 years of immediate law enforcement experience, keeping retired police officers and candidates with no law enforcement experience from running for office.
When Governor Robert Bentley signed Senate Bill 312 into law earlier this summer, strict limits were placed on who can actually run for sheriff of Baldwin County. The new law, which is only applicable in Baldwin County, requires all qualified sheriff's candidates to have at least 3 years of immediate law enforcement experience. That means retired law enforcement officers or veteran cops who have not been on the force in recent years are unable to run for sheriff.
I can run for the President of the United States, but I can't run for the seat of Baldwin County Sheriff.
Ron Bankston ran unsuccessfully for sheriff in 2006. Bankston, a retired law enforcement officer and a current member of the local chapter of the Fraternal Order of Police, tells News 5 the new law is unfair.
So I've been retired for 7 years. I pretty well keep up with the laws of the state and the county and the cities. Why should that stop me from being able to run for that position if I decide to?
The law also prevents people without police experience from qualifying.
I think it's a fantastic law. I think we need to have only people qualified to run for sheriff. And if you've been away from the system for a number of years, I don't consider you as a qualified candidate.
I think there's some good both ways. I think it needs to be open where people could choose who they like. But at the same time, I can see the argument for the experience.
Sheriff Hoss Mack, who laid the framework in the original bill, says 20 or 30 years ago, the office of sheriff was more of an administrative or political position. Mack says the position has since evolved.
The very person who directs people that can remove your constitutional rights needs to be properly trained, needs to be properly certified, and that training needs to be continuous. I think that's what people desire in someone that possesses that much power.
On the Baldwin County beat, Pat Peterson, News 5.
Late this afternoon, both Sheriff Mack and Senator Tripp Pittman, who endorsed the original bill, contacted News 5. They told us they're in discussion about changing the wording of the bill and replacing immediate to previous law enforcement experience. The change in the law would open the door for retired police officers to run for sheriff. Once again, this new law only applies to Baldwin County. Anyone wanting to run for sheriff in Alabama's 66 other counties do not face the same requirements. Here are the minimum qualifications. A candidate must be 18 years old, an Alabama resident for 1 day, a U.S. citizen for 1 day, and a registered voter.